What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Heat Chat Podcast. As always, joined here by my co-host Joey. Before we get started, as always, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you know every time we upload. And let's dive right into an action-packed week of football that we have, starting off with Houston and Detroit. Detroit finally did it. They fired Matt Patricia alongside their GM. He was kind of an experiment for them. Even from the beginning, it was considered an experiment. I thought it was a good signing at the time, but it just didn't pan out. Patricia can't really coach a team as a whole. Really, Houston had a great offensive performance, but this was Will Fuller's last game, suspended for the rest of the season because of drug possession. How much do you think Fuller's absence is going to affect that offense, especially because he was developing such a good connection with Deshaun Watson this season?
Yeah, he's the number one weapon on that offense, and I just feel bad for Deshaun Watson. He's been going through the ringer with his receivers, everything like that. I mean, he got his best receiver traded away, and now he's got to deal with this. Very unlucky. He's such a good talent. He's not even struggling really with what he has. I mean, he's still one of the top quarterbacks stats-wise in the league right now. He's still doing good, but we'll see how much Will Fuller being gone affects that.
And then also, I do want to hear, how much do you think this Detroit team will improve, if there's any improvement that could be made without Patricia being there? Because it just seemed like he lacked that overall leadership skill that some dominant head coaches in this league have.
Yeah, he did great in New England as a defensive coordinator for a long time, but as soon as he switched over to the head coach role, started to struggle. I believe he only got like 13 wins in Detroit with his 3 or 4 years there. How long
Yeah,
was he there?
I
Something
think
like
this was
that.
his third.
Yeah, it's his third year there. He's just not been successful. I mean, the Lions team don't get me wrong, they don't have the greatest amount of talent to put a head coach into that position and automatically succeed. But I don't know how much of it's Patricia's fault, how much the players' fault, but you had to make a change there if you're the Lions.
I think Detroit has gone through its fair share of injury problems, but I think it's got a lot of good young talent. I just think they really do need a good defensive mind there, and I thought that's what Jeff Okudah, their second overall pick third overall this past time around. I thought Patricia was the perfect guy to help develop him, because we've seen a lot of good guys, fantastic cornerbacks and safeties coming in to New England and be developed by Patricia's system. I was kind of hoping the same thing would help out with Jeff, but he hasn't really had that great of a season. So hopefully Detroit can turn it around, and because there are some great offensive weapons there that need to be used. But let's get into the shit show that is the Dallas football team, because they don't even deserve to be called the Cowboys. 41-16, an utter just landslide pretty much in the fourth quarter. I say up until the fourth quarter, it was a pretty much even set game. Dallas was losing it, I think, throughout the entire game. I didn't think we were going to lose it once we lost Zach Martin, but it was a very rough game to watch as a Cowboys fan. But it's I've seen it happen too much this season. It's not like it's anything new. The only thing I can say is, Dak, please come back. That's the only thing I can say from this game. But let's talk about for the football team. They're looking great. Something I do want to bring up, and even though this does relate to fantasy, it also relates to his production and how good he can be. With how good Antonio Gibson looked against the Dallas Cowboys, is he just a Cowboys killer, or could he be a running back one in the future?
Definitely a running back one. Huge talent from a rookie. I think he already is talents for at the running back position right now. He's had multiple games like that this season. That was definitely his standout game where he succeeded the most. But I'd like to see what he can do in the future. It looks like a good system there. He needs to get more involved in the passing game, but McKissick is their receiving back. If he can take on that workload and get better in the receiving game, this guy's got a huge ceiling.
Yeah, I think the thing with Washington, this was a very stacked draft class once again. But I feel like Gibson is similar to how Miles Sanders was last season. If we look back on Sanders' production last season, it was there were some 20-point games and there were some really low lights. But then towards the end, they started to use him a lot more. And then he had this big, like 35-point performance against what was the Redskins. And from there, he was kind of projected as a easily running back one, take him in the second round. And I see Gibson becoming probably even better than Sanders, because Sanders has dealt with injury this year, but he hasn't shown the greatest amount of production. But even then, he doesn't really have the line to do so. But we'll get into that later when we talk about the Seahawks game. But let's roll right into the 1 o'clock slot. The best game there, undoubtedly, well, not really the best game, but just the best performance from a whole team, and that's the Tennessee Titans. Even though Kansas City that happened. We'll get into that. The fact that Tennessee went into Indianapolis and just torched this defense. We were touting this defense as to be one of the best we've seen in a bit, and they just completely demolished them. AJ Brown, big game. Derrick Henry could have been the offensive player of the week if a certain man just didn't exist. He had an insane game. I mean, I know you know his stat line. What was his stat line looking like?
I think he had like high 100s yards. I think 180, something like that, and he had 3 touchdowns. Huge game, yeah. And he got some work in the passing game, surprisingly, which he usually doesn't get. I think he had like 4 receptions that game, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's in all those 3 touchdowns coming in the first half. That's just amazed me. But just a really piss poor performance here by Indiana. Hopefully they can ramp it back up when they play Houston next week. Cardinals versus New England. There wasn't really I would save this spot if we were talking about Pittsburgh and Baltimore, but that game just isn't going to happen by the time this video is uploaded. It's going to be happening the night of if it doesn't get postponed again. But I'm going to give some lights to the New England Patriots. Finally, they look good. They looked really good. More not Cam, but they looked like a good team. I believe James White had a really good game. Kyler Murray, probably the biggest dud coming out of that week. He had a horrible game. And something I do want to point out that you mentioned earlier on in the weeks, Kyler Murray's interceptions troubles are kind of concerning me. And I don't really like the fact that he's kind of just chucking it out there. I know he's got the weapons to do so, but I just feel like he really still needs to work on his decision making. What about you?
Yeah, I've been saying that he's still got to develop. He's still young. He's obviously has a ton of talent. These type of games don't usually come. When he does throw interceptions, though, he usually does back it up with touchdowns. I mean, his ratio is not the worst, but it's pretty bad this year. He's got to improve on that next year. Uh, Cardinals still a contender. I mean, even though their division is super stacked right now, you got the Rams and the Seahawks to deal with. They got to pick it up, and they gotta win. They basically have to win most of their games, if not all of them, the rest of the season.
This game knocked them down to 6-5. But let's talk about the Patriots. I mean, this win from the Patriots says a lot. It keeps their playoff hopes, if there are any, because Dolphins are a really good team this year. What do you think this game said the most about that Pats defense that could potentially break them to that playoff picture?
I don't see the playoffs this year for the Pats, sadly, from an unbiased standpoint. It'd be nice, though, if somehow we could get the Dolphins to lose. Somehow we can beat the Bills our next time we play them. I don't know. I just don't see it, man. The Dolphins and Bills are 2 almost top 10 teams this year. Dolphins defense has been amazing each and every game, and the Bills have that super high-powered offense. I don't see the Patriots breaking through no matter what happens, really.
And then let's talk about the biggest 4 o'clock game. Kansas City 27, Tampa Bay 24. Tyreek Hill, Offensive Player of the Week. Don't even got to mention it anymore. 200 plus receiving yards in the first quarter. 3 touchdowns, 269 yards in total on 13 receptions. Absolute monster performance. I highly doubt you didn't put him there.
Oh yeah, I got him there.
Easily Offensive Player of the Week. Patrick Mahomes had a great game too. Once again, Tom Brady not being able to get it done when it matters. And this is what we've seen people when it came to the concerns of Tom Brady leading in, the concerns of the whole Tampa Bay team in general. Their defense is really starting to fall apart in this second half of the season. And you can say they've had some good performances against not bad teams, but not all that great teams, but they're falling apart. I don't know. It doesn't look great for this Tampa team. What do you think Tampa needs to do to really just ramp it up? Because now they're in the position to where they could just get knocked out of the playoffs with how bad this defense is. At least in my eyes, I think they're playing very bad. They're giving up big games to receivers. They were one of the best ranked secondaries. What adjustments do they really need to make here?
Yeah, you talk about the defense, and it's not even really all the defense. I mean, Tom Brady, with all these weapons, we expected him to have one of his best years ever, but it's just not happening. He's not clicking with all the guys that he has. You can just see that he's not used to having this much talent, and for some reason, it's not working out. We won't know why. He's having some troubles with Bruce Arians. I've seen some stuff on social media about Arians and them and him, kind of talking back to each other. It's just the chemistry just not there. I mean, I thought they could grow throughout the season, but it's looking kind of downhill right here. They're still definitely a scary playoff team if they can get there. and make some noise. But I'm excited to see what their ceiling is for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and then rolling into Sunday Night Football, Green Bay, Chicago. David Montgomery finally had a good game. It seemed like he looked good against this poor Green Bay defense, but Aaron Rodgers put up a clinic against this Bears defense. I mean, he had a phenomenal game. Pretty much a sleeper from Aaron Jones. But other than that, great performance from Green Bay. They're starting to look like. I mean, if I thought this game was going to be a testament of to how good this Green Bay team really was, because they were undoubtedly going to win this because they have the huge offensive advantage over Chicago. But Chicago's defense is what carries, or was carrying, this team. So that now they are finally going up against a divisional rival, a tough defense to play against. And Aaron Rodgers showed out. Gives a little bit more confidence behind this Green Bay team, in my opinion. And then Seattle, Philadelphia, Jesus, please sit Carson Wentz. He's not going to get it done. Also, what is Miles Sanders doing with like 7 carries in the game? I don't know how many times I got to state this, Eagles. Continue sucking. I mean, it's not like it's going to benefit us because we don't have a chance. We're probably going to get like the 4th pick in the draft. They're just not doing anything with what they got. And you can't say that Carson Wentz doesn't have the wide receiver weapons to do so, because he's got Alshon back. He's got Fulgham. Jalen Rager, I believe that's his name. He's been looking good. They've got the guys to do it. Enough weapons. And Goddard looked phenomenal last night. He just can't do it. He has the most interceptions. He's been sacked the most times. But he also has, I believe, I saw Pro Football Focus say that he has the most inconsistent passes, or he's just throwing off target, not just overthrows and underthrows. He leads it. Anything bad a QB could look when it comes to accuracy and decision making, Carson Wentz leads them. And then over in Seattle, DK Metcalf had a huge game. But Philadelphia, man, do you think they could still win this division? Because honestly, I hate to say it, but I see Washington winning this division now. This Philadelphia team is not good at all.
I've been thinking Giants for a few weeks here. I think the Giants look pretty good, but talking about Philadelphia and Carson Wentz, still struggling. Carson Wentz, he was on a game tying drive and he just threw an absolute, like, it was the worst pass I've ever seen. He's just nowhere near where he used to be. It was sad watching that last night. He had opportunity to tie the game up, and he just that's just still in my mind how bad that pass was. I mean, a kid could have made that throw, honestly. Wide open receiver, and you just throw it right to the safety. I don't know if Philadelphia can turn this around. They might even be the worst team in this division, if not the Cowboys.
Yeah, it really is sad, and Seattle just keeps on rolling. Chris Carson looked good last night, and like we said, huge game. I think DK Metcalf just hates Philadelphia. Every time he had his huge breakout game in the playoffs against Philly, and then now he has, I believe, what was his career high in receiving yards. A crazy game from DK Metcalf. Seattle just keeps on rolling in this division. Let's get to, we already stated our offensive player of the week. So I want to hear, who do you think had the best defensive performance this week?
Offensive player was obvious, and I believe the defensive player is obvious. Jeremy Chin, he had a forced fumble and 2 fumble recoveries and back-to-back touchdowns. That's just something you don't see from a defensive player. It was pretty odd, and it was pretty impressive. And we can talk about his tackles: 13 combined tackles and 7 solo tackles. Pretty good game. Actually, not pretty good. Very good game from Jeremy Chin.
Yeah, it's a shame that the Vikings ended up coming away with that one. But Jeremy Chin played his heart out. He had a phenomenal game. I mean, you can't get much better than it. The only thing he was missing was an interception. But other than that, you can't really ask for more out of a player. And then let's get into some of these other games. Of course, we mentioned before Baltimore and the Steelers being postponed. Washington and Pittsburgh, I believe, is now going to be the Monday Night Football next week, and then Dallas and Baltimore is going to be on Tuesday. The Bucs center A.Q. Sharpley, he dealt with an injury this week, and he was a big part of their O-line, but it does seem like he's going to be out for the rest of the year. Also, I mean, Bruce Arians going as far as saying that this injury, it's a neck injury, so it could be a career ender. You never want to see that. So hopefully it's not like that. That'd be a huge loss in that Bucs O-line. And then something I wanted to get into, we've seen how big some of these draft classes are starting to turn up to be. This year, one of the most talented draft classes I've ever seen in my life. I mean, look at wide receivers: CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy, if he can develop, and then some other big guys just showing their names out there. KJ Hamler, I believe that's the guy over there, and then T. Higgins. A lot of great guys, but it's not like we ain't gone back to back with these talented wide receiver classes. I mean, last year could even be better. Terry, DK, and AJ Brown. So I do want to ask this question to you. With how much we've seen out of these guys, Metcalf having a huge game last night and Terry having a phenomenal season with what he's been given, and you can't count on AJ Brown because he's a touchdown machine. Who do you think right now is the best wide receiver to come out of this draft class? Not this
Which
draft
draft
class, but
class?
that class. AJ, Terry, or
DK
Metcalf. Who do
Metcalf?
you think's the best? Yeah.
It's hard to say right now. We talked about Terry the other day about how much ceiling he has, but I don't think he's the best simply because of his team and his quarterback play. Maybe switch him with another receiver and he's the best. But I gotta say that DK Metcalf is the best receiver out of this draft class. He's been super impressive this year. Got off to a slow start in his rookie year, but this year he's been very impressive, putting up crazy numbers all year.
DK's been great, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think McLaurin is a great talent. His route running is far, far superior to Metcalf, in my opinion. I haven't seen a guy run a route like Terry in a long time. His route is just untouched. Yeah, you can't always argue out AJ Brown, but AJ Brown I feel like is more of a Des Bryant type of guy. He's just big and he gets touchdowns. DK Metcalf, he just makes big plays. He does everything that a wide receiver could do. But I don't know. I like Terry better. I see a lot more potential in Terry if Washington can rail. I mean, Alex Smith looks good enough. If they can get a better quarterback with Terry, I see Terry probably leading the league in receiving yards. I see Metcalf doing it as well, but I just think Terry's going to end up being the best when it comes down the road. But right now, I would say Metcalf just because of how much opportunity he is being given. But week 13, let's roll right into it. Cleveland versus Tennessee. We don't have a Thursday night this game because Baltimore Ravens, yeah. But yeah, I see Tennessee winning this game. These are both really good teams. 7-3, I believe, are both of their records. Cleveland, they've looked a lot better. They've looked phenomenal since Chubb came back, even though they almost lost to Mike Glennon. He had a great game too, by the way. Yeah, I see Tennessee winning this game against Cleveland. AJ Brown, I feel like, and Corey Davis are going to have good games. Probably even Jonnu Smith and then Derrick Henry on top of it. I mean, it's just so many guys who can have big games against this Cleveland defense because they can. They haven't always given up big performances, but they definitely can give up big performances. What about you?
Yeah, I gotta pick Tennessee. I think they've found their formula to win, and it's give the ball to Derrick Henry 30
Yep.
times and let him carry you. It doesn't matter what defense you're playing. It's gonna be a big win for Tennessee. It'll put them up in the division. If the Colts somehow lose, they'll go up 2 games, and I think it's a big game. And Tennessee's got to win this against the Browns.
Yeah, I feel like Tennessee, it's just give the ball to Derrick Henry 30 times, pass it to A.J. Brown on a slant route, and then he'll probably run it for about 69 yards to the end zone. And then Cardinals, Broncos, I mean, there's not really a lot of phenomenal games here, but oh, wait, no, it was Rams Cardinals. I don't know why I said Broncos Cardinals. My fault. Rams look like a great team. Cardinals are on a little bit of a downslope here. This Rams defense is legit. They're the number one ranked defense in the league right now. So I'm gonna keep on rolling high with the Rams. I've liked the Rams since the beginning. I really do like this team. Cardinals, I still feel like are a great team, and they're probably going to be the only offense to really give this Rams defense a good showing. But I'm gonna go Rams here against the Cardinals.
I gotta pick the Rams too. They surprised me this year. I wasn't too high on them in the beginning of the year, and then they come out and they got 8 wins, I believe, right now, something like that. They're doing really good, and they're even a Super Bowl contender. They're playing really well. If they can keep this up, they're gonna make a playoff run. I'm excited to see that.
And then for Sunday Night Football, Broncos Chiefs interdivisional matchup. This is going to be a slugger for the Chiefs. It's just, I mean, the Chiefs defense destroyed the Broncos last time around. And if the Broncos can get a quarterback, boo, you might get a touchdown. But besides from that, no, there's no way in hell Broncos are going to win this game. Give me Chiefs. Uh, I mean, honestly, I don't know how this game could go. The passing game could come out firing at the beginning, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire could run for like 120 yards. But he hasn't looked all too great recently. I just don't think he's been given the opportunity to do much. But, I mean, yeah, I don't think I got to ask you about this one. Chiefs, Broncos, you're getting Chiefs?
Give me Chiefs by like 40. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on Monday, we got a double header. The Monday Night Football game is going to be Washington versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the king of playing down to their opponents. Even though Gibson, for him, it's a bad matchup because Pittsburgh is one of the better running defense. Gibson could still have a good day. I mean, we've seen people have great days against Pittsburgh, Miles Sanders being one of them, the first off of the top of my head. But yeah, Pittsburgh's still going to win this one, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the football team give them a real fight here.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them pull off an upset against the Steelers, so Steelers fans would shut up. Uh, sorry, Steelers fans, but
Shut up.
I
Yeah.
gotta go with the Steelers right there. Yeah, easy.
Yeah. And then probably going to be the game of the week here, Buffalo versus San Francisco. I mean, maybe not probably Cleveland and Tennessee, most likely, but I mean, San Francisco has looked really good recently. Mostert is back. Mostert seems to be the hidden gem. I don't want to say the hidden key, but the key to this team performing good because I just think Mostert really just livens up this team. And Deebo Samuel didn't look too bad last time around. But yeah, San Francisco could give Buffalo a tough matchup here, but got to go Buffalo here. San Francisco defense looked a lot better, especially with Richard Sherman coming back and playing for the first time this whole season. But yeah, give me Buffalo here.
Yeah, I gotta go Buffalo there, man. The Buffalo's been playing great. They got a pretty big win against the Chargers last week to basically secure, I wouldn't say secure them division yet, but they've got this division. They've got it. And they're gonna be a pretty high seed going into the playoffs.
No doubt. And then the game nobody wants to hear about, but Dallas, Baltimore. Uh, okay. I'm going to say this right now. I don't see us putting up more than 13 points. I even wrote down a score prediction 41-13, and that's fucking generous, McCarthy. Okay. So get something done and prove that Lamar is washed. All right. And even if so, and the craziest thing I saw is that there's a possibility that if Lamar is still battling with COVID, that Des Bryant could be catching a touchdown pass from Robert Griffin III. If I would have been told that 5 years ago, I would have flipped my shit. But yeah, Baltimore easily, and this one don't even got to. J.K. Dobbins though is a big guy to watch during this game. I feel like he's going to have a big day, and of course Des Bryant, he could probably catch a couple of touchdown passes. But yeah, that's all from today, guys. We're gonna catch you tomorrow, talking to you everything about fantasy. But yeah, not the biggest games, but we had a big week this past times. But yeah, I kind of feel for you on that whole Fuller suspended thing if you got him. But we're going to help you out with that, with our fantasy stuff tomorrow. But make sure we're going to see y'all guys tomorrow. Thank you. Please sub, like the video as always. And yeah, see you there. Peace.